Is the woman's body will sort of dictate. Can she tolerate a higher amount? Is she going to have any spotting or bleeding? Is her endometrial lining going to thicken up from a higher amount? You want women to feel better from using their hormones. How are they protected long term, but making sure that there's some of those safety parameters in there.
HRT, dosing matters. Hi, I'm Dr. Valorie.
And I'm Dr. Maki from the Progression Health Podcast.
Before we dive in, I just wanted to say that if you're wondering about your hormones and wanting to understand your symptoms, that we created something just for you. It's a Hormone Navigator. It's an AI app that helps you not only just track all of your symptoms, HRT, labs, you name it, but it also gives you personalized guidance to you on what to do next. So it's hormonenavigator.com.
Now, in today's episode, so we are in the middle of a launch week for our app, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, hence the plug.
Yeah, right. It is the week of April 28th, 2026. So you're probably seeing this, who knows when, but if it's that week, there is a 20% discount. So you want to save a little bit of money. But on today's episode, we are going to talk about HRT dosing. I made a statement on one of the last episodes that we did that a trend that we've been seeing is that younger women, the women that are in early perimenopause, like late 30s, early 40s, are sometimes being overdosed. And women that are in menopause, 50s and beyond, are being a little bit underdosed. Mm-hmm. Okay, just as a trend. Maybe not in every case, of course, but something that we've seen with people that have reached out to us and have asked us questions. It's just something that we've noticed. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, when we're talking about the dosing, this is more about doing like a transdermal biased cream. So like a biased has estradiol, which is E3, and then estradiol in there. It's a cream. You apply it transdermally to the skin. I like the inner thigh because that's a good spot because it's a nice fatty pad for absorption. And then you don't share it with other people or animals or kids if you put it on your arms. So when you're thinking about the dosing for a biased, it's totally different than a dosing for an estradiol patch, even doing troches. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing, estrogen hormone replacement. But I feel like there's this sort of trend across the board that women are being actually underdosed with biased, that they're not getting enough. Don't you agree?
Yeah, when you see, you look at the patch specifically, and you see these really low numbers, 0.025, 0.035, or 0.0375, 0.05. Those numbers from a dosing perspective are milligrams. They seem really, really low, right? So even practitioners think that those numbers are really low. And then when they transition someone over to biased, they try to copy these really low dosages. And I think that's where women tend to go backwards. And what we've noticed over the years is that you really have to compensate from the patch to the transdermal creams. You really have to increase that dosage to make them seem sort of equivalent.
Even oral, there is oral estradiol that people take. Is even taking an oral and going to a transdermal biased cream, you do have to go a lot higher on that biased cream. And I don't want to say higher, like, it's such a high dose, because it truly is like apples and oranges. So when you're looking at an estradiol patch versus a biased, like, for example, and I've said this before, back when I started practice in 2004, was right when that WHI study had just come out fairly a little, right before that. And a lot of women were being taken off of their Premarin. Not that Premarin is the best HRT, it's not. So, but at the same time, you think a Premarin dose, a pretty average Premarin dose was 0.625 milligrams. So then these practitioners would, because that's an estradiol. We'll just switch you over to an estradiol cream that's 0.625 or a biased that's 0.625, which ended up being so low. It just really was truly expensive lotion because the dose was too low, and then women would feel terrible, and it gave the creams actually kind of a bad rap.
Yeah, and I think that's still sort of happening a little bit because if you're on a low dose like that on the patch or even a troche or something, and you try to switch over to a comparable biased, that's where the drop off is. Because we've seen a lot of people, that have sent us what they're doing and asking us, questions and things. They always tend to give us the ratio. They never forget the ratio. Biased 80-20, biased 50-50, but the ratio really doesn't mean all that much. It really comes down to what the concentration of it is. And that's the part that maybe there's a little bit of apprehension, a little bit of estrogen's good, but too much is not good, or there's a little bit of, fear there of raising that dose. And it's not that any one of those prescription types one is better than the other. You just have to know how to dose them and find the right fit for that particular patient.
And like you had mentioned earlier, and I have noticed this over the last, I want to say like maybe 2.5, 3 years, that there'll be, younger women, which younger women, in perimenopause truly need to be, get their hormone balance. When you're in perimenopause, you should not be brushed off. But I'll find that women that are still menstruating, they still have that ovarian function, but they're in perimenopause, are being dosed like a menopausal female. They're given maybe an estradiol patch. And estradiol patches are, in some respects, different than the transdermal cream because it's almost like an IV. This estradiol is constantly being, dripped into the bloodstream as opposed to doing a transdermal cream where you might apply it twice a day. You get more of a increase where the levels go up and then they slowly come down. And then you do your next dose in the evening time and the levels go up and then it slowly comes down. It's different than having that IV, kind of like quote unquote IV drip of estradiol. So they're different. So I find that these perimenopausal women, they would come to me on a patch and on a progesterone. They were gaining weight, they were bleeding, having 2 periods in 1 month, having a lot of spotting, a lot of breast tenderness, and just not, feeling like they're constantly in PMS. And that's because they were given, that was too much estrogen for their system. So we needed to back them off of that. As opposed to like, we were talking about with menopausal women, is then all of a sudden they're being underdosed with really low doses of a biased cream.
Yeah, it certainly has, see that quite a bit. And you see those numbers on there and it's just a little confusing. You think that a certain milligram amount of one would be the same as all the other. And I think that's where the disconnect is.
Yeah, and there's an absorption issue, truly too. So some people absorb the hormone cream easier than somebody else. Maybe that's their skin texture. Maybe that's the fillers, binders, and excipients in the actual cream. So I do find that, and every practitioner, that's why they call, medicine a practice, is I do find testing. So somebody, they might absorb that hormone cream really well, and you test their blood work and their estradiol levels maybe at 80, and you're like, oh, great, this is exactly where I want it. Or they might not be absorbing it very well, and their estradiol level is at 34. And you think, oh, well, we need to raise the dose or change the, the filler or or what the cream is actually made of to see if it absorbs better. So that's where I do feel like testing is really important, because if these women, like you said, are maybe doing really low doses of estradiol or a biased, and they're maybe in their 50s, and you're not testing it, they might say, hey, I'm not getting hot flashes or night sweats, because those do end up going away after a while, but they might not be getting that benefit for their bones, their heart, and their brain.
Yeah. And that's where it's really challenging, I think, for the patient and the practitioners, because there is no continuity from one to the next to the next. So it really comes down to a little trial and error. One woman does fine on this, but then she transitions, or she's maybe not doing fine on one prescription. She goes to something else. There's no real framework on how to do that. There's no real, it's literally sometimes very often a guessing game a little bit. And now when you've been doing it as long as you and I have, you sort of know how to, where to start or where to initiate a certain dosage. And I think that's valuable. That's important, because now they don't have this, huge regression when they go from one dosing type that maybe wasn't working all that well. They're looking for something different. Now they hopefully feel better from that and not feel even worse than they did on the previous prescription.
Exactly. I think when I have a patient that comes in and maybe they're on an estradiol patch and they want to switch to, they don't want to take it anymore. Maybe they're feeling like they're too estrogenized. It's not they gain some weight from it for, that, because that can happen too if it's a little too high. Is when I switch them over to a cream, I definitely do a 50-50 ratio, because I do like the ratios. When you're doing 50-50, there's more estradiol. So there's 50% estradiol and 50% estriol, as opposed to an 80-20 where there's 80% estriol and 20% estradiol. So I definitely do a 50-50, and I actually do bring up that dose pretty high. I might even have it up to, anywhere between, 5 to 8 milligrams of estradiol and 5 to 8 milligrams of estriol. Like I might even push that up and then test them in a few weeks. Let's test that blood work. Apply your transdermal biased cream or estradiol cream, and then check it about 3 to 6 hours after, because I want to see how you're absorbing it. I don't want you to just go in, no cream on, of course the levels are going to be low because, the bioidentical hormones are awesome, but they don't, in terms of the transdermal cream, they only have about a 12-hour half-life, like 10-hour half-life or lifespan. So I want to say put on your cream in the morning, wait about 3 to 6 hours, get your blood drawn, and let's see where your levels are. Now, if they're in the 30s, then we know we need to raise it. If it's up there, maybe 180, then we know we need to back that down. So I was talking to you not that long ago about a patient, her practitioner, or something where she wanted to switch to a different pharmacy, or there was something there going on. I think the prescription got called in wrong, perhaps, but the pharmacist was looking at her dose saying, oh my gosh, this is 5 times the level of estrogen that most women on HRT are on. I don't think they were understanding it was like a 10 milligram biased 80-20. So I think the pharmacist might have been thinking it was 10 milligrams of straight estradiol that she was taking twice a day, which really wasn't the case, because if it's 80, if it's an 80-20, 10 milligrams, which is why we want to know what the milligrams of the dosage is, that means that 8 milligrams is estriol and only 2 milligrams is estradiol.
Well, I think he was just reacting to, because that's happened before in the past too, just in a variety of different ways. But I think he was reacting to the overall milligram amount.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah,
that's the trend that we've seen, is that a lot of women, they're going into menopause having all these symptoms, and they're on, 2 milligrams, 1.5 milligrams, 0.75 milligrams. Something usually, what I've seen most of the time is usually less than 3 milligrams. And honestly, that most of the time, that's like a starting dose for most women, especially if they're having hot flashes. So you see a 10 milligram dose when everyone else is prescribing on these lower ends, and you see a dose that's a little bit higher than that, then that sort of proves what I was saying, is that there's this trend that women are just being underdosed. Because if you look at the patch, specifically 0.0, whatever the number is, 3, 2.5, 0.025, 0.05, and then you see a 10 milligram. I mean, that seems like it's so much more, but we both know that it's not. It's quite a bit different.
And it comes down to the patient. So like I said, I talked about testing. Then it's also taking in that kind of, having that communication with the patient versus and the practitioner, so you have that relationship. Because I do have some women that are really sensitive to estrogen,
right.
Like really sensitive. I'm doing these really like ultra low doses, and they're doing great. Maybe that doesn't show up on the blood work, but they're not getting puffy. They're feeling good. Their clarity is good. They do really, really well on that. And then I have others, of course, we need to raise up that dose and do the testing. So it really is sort of a dance or an art when it comes to the HRT. There is not really like a straight up equation.
Yeah, and when it comes to the testing too, one thing that we don't do over the years is we don't chase the estradiol numbers, right? So maybe someone's feeling good, but their number is, their estradiol number is a little low. If it isn't broke, don't fix it, sort of a thing. Just to get the number up, often is going to cause more problems if you're chasing a certain dosing target. Because when you apply that cream to the inner thigh, it sort of, your body, a woman's body is going to soak up that estrogen right away. So it can be challenging, especially with a bias cream, to get those blood levels, where you want them to be, especially if you're on that lower end of the dosing range.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So that's where if somebody is feeling good and that estrogen is maybe in the 30s, we might want to look a little bit, hey, you're feeling great, let's roll with it. But then we might want to look like, oh, you've got some osteopenia going on. That bone density is starting to, be a little low. It's not an osteoporosis, so let's take that into consideration if we want to possibly do some supplementation, some lifestyle, some exercise to build up that bone. Maybe even try to see if we can push that estrogen up a little bit and see if they can tolerate it. If they can't, that's okay. You back it back down. But then let's say there's somebody that has this amazing bone density, no bone loss. They're feeling great on lower levels of biased. Then, like you said, roll with it.
Yeah. And then, then it comes down to as well is the woman's body will sort of dictate, right? Can she tolerate a higher amount? Is she going to have any spotting or bleeding? Is her endometrial lining going to thicken up from a higher amount? There's a few things that you have to take into consideration when you're prescribing a higher dose. Subjective response, how they feel, right? That's really, at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. You want your patient, you want women to feel better from using their hormones. Okay. Then the second tier is like what you said, how are they protected long-term, but making sure that there's some of those safety parameters in there over that period of time. And that's where like you said, the art comes into play, because what works for one woman on a certain dose isn't going to work for the next. And that's why it can be a little challenging sometimes.
And then just on a quick side note, so I know, is when you're looking at someone in menopause, okay, those ovaries are not producing any more estrogen and progesterone. So you literally are replacing estrogen and progesterone. So, hormone replacement therapy. What I find when I'm working with my perimenopausal patients is it's a little bit more finesse that you're not necessarily replacing the hormones, but you're trying to balance their overall hormones. So maybe their level might be at a certain level and we want to raise that up a little bit. So we're just augmenting that difference between what might be low. Like if their progesterone's low, we're just going to make up that difference. And same with the estrogen. We might try to balance out the big spikes of estradiol and those valleys. So we're just trying to balance that out, as opposed to, like I said, in menopause, we're replacing the hormones. So there is a little difference between the two, and you do need to treat them differently.
Yeah, for sure. They're quite a bit different, and we've seen that women are being given estrogen younger and younger. Okay, that wasn't a trend. That wasn't a thing not that long ago, but it certainly has become a trend over the last few years. And like you said, as you're kind of just dabbling with some of those hormones, it can be really effective and really help them a lot. Or a little too much of a good thing, meaning a little too much estrogen, can kind of make things worse. So, do you have any other things you want to talk about when it comes to dosing?
Nope, I think I got all my little notes here.
Yeah. So again, if you're interested, the app that we're launching as of right now, the hormonenavigator.com, go there. You can check out more details. Until next time, I'm Dr. Maki.
And I'm Dr. Valorie.
Take care. Bye-bye.